Hello and welcome to Fin Business. We are in conversation with Erik van Ommeren from Gartner. He specializes in the architecture of technology and digital innovations, and he is here to share with us some interesting deep dive into what is going on into the field of innovations and what the CIOs need to do in order to engage with the new breed of innovators in the world. So, hi Ommeren, welcome to Fin Business. So, one very interesting thing that all the CIOs and the CXOs today from the industry looking for is to work with the startups and the innovators. So, what kind of guidelines would you, as a researcher, provide them as to how to take their right steps?
Innovation through startups is seen as a shortcut to speed because you see all these startups create products and services. They have a way to turn ideas into value. And there's a multitude of them. So of course we want to engage with them. But it's very hard because an organization is very slow moving and risk averse, and startups are very fast moving and they embrace risk as a core concept in their business model. So if you want to work together as an established enterprise, as an established organization with startups, you have to be very clear why you want to do this, what the model is in which you want to work together, and how much risk you're willing to embrace. And normally that means you create a sort of a separate layer so that you can facilitate that collaboration, because it's very hard for a startup to work with a traditional enterprise. Just the time it takes to engage and get to a contract, sometimes that's 6 or 9 months or even 12 months, which for a startup can be its entire life cycle. And for a corporation, it's pretty common to vet partners to the point of completion and then decide, okay, yeah, let's go to business, except for a startup, that is just too long an attention span. So be very clear on the goals, be very clear on how you want to facilitate things working together, and be very clear on the risk you're willing to take to engage. And then you can choose your intimacy. Do we just want to learn about them and interact with them casually, or do we want to complete opposite end of the scale and we want to create our own startup or buy in an entire organization? And in between you have lots of other models of collaboration.
Interesting. So, in a digital transformation life cycle, there is a whole lot of activity that goes into value creation, and at the same time, there is also evaporation of the value. So, what kind of suggestions you would give to the CIOs in this area to identify how to go about creating values, and what are the kind of indicators for that?
Yep. With new technology, there's always some old value that's evaporated. Something becomes cheap that was expensive, or something becomes automated that was human, or something becomes possible that was impossible. And every time something shifts, you have to re-examine your business model. For example, if you were a traditional bank, just storing money in a safe place was very valuable, because keeping it at home was very hard, so keeping it at a bank was a value. Well, today nobody would recognize that even as value, because storing money safely, well, it's all digital, so of course we can do that. So with evaporation of value, you have to examine what's left of our model and how can we create new value on top of that. One way to do that is to hunt for your hidden assumptions. So what are the assumptions that underlie our business model with regards to the cost of things, or the availability of data, or the speed of things? So perhaps something that we thought is always taking 6 months, perhaps in today's world that only has to take 6 minutes. If that changes, you have to re-examine your business, because perhaps your business value is built on things taking a long time. And if it's instant, perhaps the value has gone, or you have a new way of creating it. So hunting for your hidden assumptions is a great way to find where your business model is challenged and where you can create it.
Interesting. So, when you come to the financial service organizations, there are two aspects of it. Of course, they are very compliance driven, and kind of innovations that happen in those organizations are much more limited compared to the rest of the world. And they are built on something called as trust. And with all these innovations that are going to happen in the near future, a whole lot of this trust is being challenged. How do you see organizations, build around this trust ultimately, because it is with that trust that the organizations are actually valued. So how do you advise banking and financial services organization to keep maintaining that trust with the kind of innovations?
Trust in any company is just the repetitive keeping of your promises. And in the digital era, what you'll see is new generations look at that entirely differently than the older generations, or the digital natives. If your app is reliable and looks good, that may be enough for them to trust you, much more than the amount of advertisement or the amount of marketing presence or the amount of physical presence that you have. So it's really fun to keep examining, when do people trust you. The downside of that is that trust is also one of the things being challenged by technology. Is it's easy to be hacked, it's easy to lose money, it's easy to lose the confidentiality or the trust of your clients, risking your brand. So it's how do we find the position of trust based on new technologies, based on new interactions, based on new applications, rather than the old model where we say, well, if we have brand presence and we have store presence and we have good, reliable people behind the counter, that's when we have trust. It's really how can we create a digital version of that. And sometimes new technologies will help them. People often think of things like blockchain as a way in which that trust can be created in a new model.
Has there been any interesting innovations that you have seen around blockchain which has been happening in your journey of hunting for innovation or exploring for innovations?
Blockchain has been one of the most interesting concepts that have come out of the technology world. It's a way to distribute trust without central ownership, which in itself is a revolutionary concept. So I understand why everybody's experimenting, why everybody's looking at that, and why everybody's examining how that could either give opportunities or threats to your current models. I haven't seen full-scale committed exercises on blockchain. I've seen lots of experiments and lots of fringe activities. I haven't seen full-scale commitment to blockchain just yet.
So it is just in the process of evolution right now, according to you?
Yes, correct.
Great. Any interesting advice to the innovators who are going to view this session as to what they should be doing in order to ensure that they get a better adoption in the industry?
Innovation in the end is about the embrace and adoption of technology. It's not about a cool gadget, it's not about a cool idea, it's not even about a cool piece of software. It's about when somebody uses something and changes how they work or how they live or how they behave. And that's why all innovation activities today are centered around that user. Can we design something that somebody wants to use? Can we design something that somebody really desires? So any time when we take a new technology and take new ideas, you have to take extra care to spend time really thinking from the mind of the user. Do they really want this? Does it fit their lives? Does it give them value in what they're trying to do? Be that your employers, employees, be that your intermediaries, be that your clients. The adoption is the key to success. So that's why adoption of technology is the core focus of technology change and technology innovation today. Never run with a piece of technology thinking this will have value. Always validate, does my user think this has value? And only when you have validated that will your technology be a true innovation.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Erik, for sharing all these thoughts. And we look forward to learn more innovative things from you, from the basics of experience that you have been having all over the world. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you.